Hello, welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol and I am your host today. Good to see everybody in the chat. Hi, Ben. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Megan. Good to see you. Hi, Henny. Hi, Seventh Son. Who else we got here? Hi, Plant Freak. Are you on a train? Are you in a plane? Hi, CK. I've missed you. Oh, trip started at 10 a.m. and I'm still approximately 2 hours away, plus a serious storm. Oh, awesome, awesome. On the train still. Cool. I was watching AA Ron today, and this whole movement that's gaining traction with the Scientology auditing of never ends. That's mostly who's doing it. And hi, Cosmic. And gotcha. Anyway, and I was thinking, there's a crafty little personality at work in the cult that I came out of that keeps things pretty unremarkable enough to stay under the radar, but from time to time will generate that there's some big thing that's about to happen. It's interesting. There's nothing. He's really good at creating a thing that couldn't be consistently audited or anything like that, but it ought to be. Somebody ought to be going into those church meetings and auditing. But it's really not necessary because they put their meetings on YouTube. I just recently learned. And yeah, lots of cults out there. Lots of different things going on. How are you doing, Ben?
Not bad. Did you go see the dentist today?
I did. I had my stitches taken out.
Oh, okay. So it was not eventful.
Yeah. He said it healed up really, really well. In
That's
fact,
good.
he doesn't always see them heal up like this. So
Well, I mean, that's really good to know.
yeah,
And the big thing, you're not in pain anymore.
yeah,
Man,
for
I
for
hate
sure.
tooth pain.
Yeah, I've got about it's about a 4 month healing period before I can start looking
Hmm.
at an implant.
Hmm. That's good though that you're looking at it.
Yeah, and they're going to do a CT scan. I guess I've got a CT scanner right there in their office to see where how the nerves are all lined up and all that
Hmm.
stuff to find out, you know, the prognosis for successful implants and all that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that was one of the big things, and of course, you may ask yourself, where does the highway go to? And you may ask
Or you
yourself,
may say to
where's the
yourself,
Lord? No.
Like your Def Leppard, we know, or no, wait, AC/DC, we know where your highway goes.
hi, Slow Mo. Hi, Anik.
Hey,
Yay.
baby.
Hi, Kimmy's Playhouse. God, it's good to see everybody. Yay. How are you, Christy?
I'm good. So, Michael got the floor done, and now you can't
Wow, that was
keep him
fast.
down. Yeah, he's really good at laying flooring. So now he's going to put planking on the walls. So we've got that sort of, and so it's going to look really cool when it's all
Kind of
done.
like this.
Yeah, except it's gray to match the flooring, so it's
Okay.
actually going to look really pretty.
Right on.
And yeah, so other than that, I'm good. I'm back in the studio. I was like, I clearly cannot be in the living room and do this. It just does not. But so yeah. Let's see. CK had did CK have something? Cosmic, hey, Stasia, hi, Anik, hello. Um,
Shlomo, how are you doing with your everything that you're trying to do with your recovery right now? How's that going? I'd love to have an update.
Penny, hello, and Ben. Ben, this page is intentionally left blank. Hello. And I wanted to check on CK. CK, are you doing good too?
Yeah.
I know she kind of had some stuff going on the other day, so I wanted to check with her. Kimmy's Playhouse just got done with therapy. Good, good. Did it go well for you? Are you still on the waiting list for DBT at Kimmy's Playhouse, or have you gotten to start that yet? CK, this new phone is hypersensitive. Ah, I know. And I fat finger everything. Like my phone has swipe text. So I don't actually have to like type it out. But man, sometimes the words it comes up with is something else.
I don't know if you caught the first part of, I was like thinking about the Scientology auditors and, and all this stuff that's, Scientology is kind of locked into what they got going on. They can't really veer from that path because everything is
Right.
Whereas, the cult that I came out of, he can kind of be one step ahead of anybody that could stir up anything or expose anything, because it's an organic movement, and, so there's really not a whole lot that he can give you as far as material to expose what's going on. You have to really be in it to feel what, and with all the charismatic stuff that they do, it's such a good distraction from what's really going on.
So I wanted to ask you, like, and if you're not in a space where you want to answer it,
it's fine.
Did they so what did you like? Did they just teach certain verses out of the Bible? Did they teach the whole Bible? Did they not go with it? Like, how did that look? Because some of the ones I've known, like, they'll use a verse or two out of the Bible and they kind of have their own book or their own thing. Like,
right.
How did that look for you?
The guy, did some kind of schooling where he, was studying to become a quote unquote scholar, and he knew the Bible. And so he could just we didn't have a thing where we opened up our Bible necessarily and read from a scripture and he preached on it. He'd quote a scripture, or make a reference to it and then put his own personal spin on it.
Oh, okay.
And he's the mouthpiece of God. He's the man of God. And so he's got the revelation kind of theme.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I see. I always kind of wondered how that looked.
Yeah. And I happened to, by that point, by the time that I had joined that quote unquote church, which it is, I knew the Bible pretty well by then. I mean, there wasn't a day that went by that I did not have my nose in my Bible.
I see. Okay.
And
I was wasn't so alarming. Like he wasn't just completely off base.
No. In fact, he was right in the vein of what I felt like my walk was. That's what attracted me.
I always kind of wondered how that, because you're a very smart person, and I thought, what did it look like?
Find a cult member or ex-cult member that isn't smart,
right?
And you don't have a cult.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't.
Well, and I was like, because I was thinking about it, and I thought it had to be something that didn't, like ding a bell straight away, because. Right. Like it's an abusive relationship still, and if those bells go off first thing, you
Yeah.
leave. And so I just kind of always wondered.
Well, and there was some familiarity in there for
Right.
me. My brother was just a rageaholic. I
Uh-huh.
mean, rage like you've never seen.
Right.
And
Oh,
this guy would work up this righteous indignation, and it was very familiar to me.
okay.
You
Okay. So a
know?
lot of it felt like home.
Yeah, in a weird
Oh,
way. It's like there were so many times I'd be like, "Yeah, that is very reminiscent of home."
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, and I mean, no judge. I always just kind of wondered, um,
But I was ready to walk out 2 years after I joined.
yeah. Well,
But
I remember you said that.
yeah, I was really starting to feel the constriction,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was I actually lost my job during a downsizing at the company that I had worked my way up through, and I took a promotion in the department that I always knew got hardest hit during a downsizing
Oh.
thing,
Hmm.
but I really wanted the promotion,
Well, of
and
course.
you just do it and you hope for the best. But when I got handed my walking papers, so to speak, um, it's like, well, what do I do now? And then I thought, this could be my chance. I
Right.
don't have a job here. I've got a little bit of money from the severance pay.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
could do this. I could go home,
Yeah.
and I kind of started formulating a plan that would be acceptable, you know, and I told the pastor that I wanted to go to ORU and go to school. Now that I've lost this job, I'd like to go to school, and
Hmm.
well, there are good schools here, and he was able to spin the conversation in such a way that he would plant enough of a little dose of reality that would make me go twist my own mind
Oh, okay. Oh,
into
Yeah.
his way of wanting things to go, which was me staying there. But by the end of the conversation, it was totally my idea. I had totally made up my own mind.
right, right. That gaslighting. And I just want to say, Marky, thank you. He said, look at these two beautiful ladies. Benzo
Thank you.
Gene Edwards, is that who this was?
So, Gene Edwards, who's that?
Was that? Well, I was wondering if that was the person you were talking about, the
Oh, the
pastor.
pastor of the church that I was in?
Mhm.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, well, who's that? Tell me.
Oh, he's another cult leader. He was kind of got pretty not super radical, but he got to the point where he was God's anointed, and you weren't allowed to
Question.
say, yeah. I had a friend that was into him, so I started boning up on him and several others just to excuse me, just to know what he was getting into.
Okay. Was he like a charismatic
Yeah.
evangelical type thing? Yeah, there are a lot of those, I feel like. So I wondered too, Christy, since I've been so Baptist my whole life and it's not much different from non-denominational. It's not, CK. It's really not. Husband's cult, Makuya, believed Tashima is God, I think. Okay.
And
Okay.
CK, I
Yeah.
was raised Baptist, so I know, I'm familiar with how you were probably raised. So yeah, well, I just always kind of wondered, and since you were kind of talking about it, I just wondered how
Well, and
that.
I really admired that he did know the Bible as much as he did. I thought,
Yeah,
how could he not be a man of God? You know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah, of course. Well, absolutely. Yeah. And that's very trusting. I mean, that's such a position of trust
Mm-hmm.
too. I mean, you're trusting your spiritual leader,
Mhm.
however that's framed for you,
Yeah.
with every part of who you are, from
Yeah.
your, I mean, really, whether it's cult or not, and so that makes sense,
Yeah.
and then he just kind of let you, it sounds like, decide. He spun it just enough that he would get you going down the path that he wanted you to go down, but it was your idea. And so then
He was brilliant at that. He was a very, very, very smart man,
yeah.
exceptionally smart, cunning and
Mhm.
intelligent, and scholarly. All the things that I would have admired at that time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now, was there any positive that you took from it? Was it all negative, or was there
No,
any,
no,
like,
of course. If it was all
negative?
negative, I wouldn't have been there for 10 years.
Right,
You
right. So
know,
what was one positive that you took? Just
it was kind of like a little psychodrama situation for me, where I could go back and revisit some of the abuse that I had come up out of as a kid.
mhm.
And I was able to process a lot,
Mm.
Oh, okay.
even in the midst of it,
Right.
kind of like what I'm doing with, these Scientology, the SPTV people, and listening to their stories, processing vicariously through listening to their stories,
Mhm.
which kind of indeed verify that, yeah, I was in a cult. I
Right.
absolutely was in a cult, which at the
Right.
time I would not have been able to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was able to do something similar with processing my childhood and the abuse and the fright and the fear, and it's like when he would yell the way in that, rage, it was like, it was not the same as what my brother would do.
Mhm.
My brother was dangerous. There was nothing dangerous
Mm.
that I could see. Nobody was going to get hit.
Right, right,
No
right,
animal was going to be abused,
right.
Mm.
you know, and so I don't know. I was able to. I don't know any other way to describe it, but it was kind of my own little psychodrama, for
Mhm.
almost like, what is the therapy called, where you get your exposure to the traumatic situation, but it's in a safe space, so that you kind of get decent. You're not where you.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it, but I do know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah,
where you go through and, like, relive it and everything like that, but it's
yeah,
it's
Mm.
like controlled. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know what it's called though.
yeah.
But so it
Um,
helped you to kind of process
it
some of your
did.
childhood.
It
Yeah.
did, and and it helped me a lot with the um, the ups and downs that I would have with my depression. You know, it was just there was just something about the stability of the
Mhm.
job that I was in, the church that I would go to, and I was just in this stable. It's the same thing every week, but that was
Mhm.
really good for me,
Mm. Mhm.
Mhm.
because I'm pretty sure that not my depression had manic phases in it.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that. I just really felt internally, instinctively, that being in a certain situation and the power of the Word of God and all that stuff,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
believed it wholeheartedly, and
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
worked for me. I did still have cyclical depression, but I would not go way up. Over time, I would not go way off out into outer space.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, and there was a lot of laying on of hands and praying, and there's a certain power in that, because according to the power of your belief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so no, it was. In fact, I would say most of it was not negative. It's just that that's all I would get to have in my life, is my job and my church, my job and my church.
So it was pretty authoritarian, would you say?
I would say,
Okay.
in an overt.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
not in an overt way, but in a more covert kind of
Oh,
way.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A real,
No,
and that makes sense though. Earlier,
know,
what you said about college.
because all you have to do is just, put enough of a fear that breaking away from the group leads to sin and sin leads to hell. And,
Yeah.
he was really good at, not making it such an overt threat, but the threat was there nonetheless.
Yeah. Using authority and tribe in that case to keep you.
Yes.
And those are two of the four biggies for influencing people.
Yeah.
Focus, authority, tribe, and emotion are the four. And you can see those in everything. I mean, you can, like Nazis, they used authority and tribe, and they used authority and tribe. The Milgram experiment, that's where they shocked people. They use focus and authority. So I mean, it's a common.
And tribe, they use a whole bunch of like Indians, like that the Nazi symbol, that's the symbol for sun flipped backwards. So so that
that was. I remember my dad had some stuff, and I thought it was like a really bad thing. And my dad's like, "Nope, this is an Indian thing. Look at it." He kept him, like packed away because obviously, if you didn't know what it was, you would think it was something bad. But they did. There was a lot of abuse and a lot of stuff they took and really perverted, and I think that's sad.
A whole bunch of runes and symbols they took, and
You
stuff
got
they
the
took
boot
from tribalism.
Seventh, did you get kicked out?
From here?
He said that was strange. I got the boot twice. We love you. We wouldn't give you the boot.
Yeah, no, I've barely touched the keyboard, so I know I didn't do anything accidental. I'm so sorry. That is weird. What the hell?
YouTube is doing a lot of strange things. I know it's the same for people who are out on the street. They keep talking about how on their phones it's taking all of the messages and it's jamming them together to where you can't read them. And it's not just one or two; it's all of them are saying it. So I think they fix stuff
weird.
like kind of like my brother would fix his car that would stop working.
I know DBT is a
weird
therapy. And going on to what Carol was saying as far as, what she got from the cult, I actually got community because I didn't have it.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I was out there in Southern California completely by myself.
Yeah.
Which is too scary a place to venture out too much anyway.
Yeah.
So it kind of was my tribe.
That's
my family. And
the first place I ever felt welcome, like immediately welcome. No judgment, which is funny because after that I learned, oh my God, were they judgy? But that first instance, they were so welcoming. And even though I knew they were judgy, they were judgy, but still they were like welcoming judgy, like I knew they were judging me, but I was still like they were still like, we still love you, even though they were still like, we judge you, but we love you anyway.
We love you, but your skirt is too short, kind of thing.
Well, we love you, but can you take that off? And I was like, and they were like, bless your heart, basically.
Yes. Well,
I was like, oh, bless yours. We'll just bless each other's hearts, and then give me some cake.
I'll pray for you, and then you got all your bases covered.
Oh, and it makes sense. I mean, tribe is one of the things, I don't know if you're necessarily in the Maslow's pyramid, but it's one of the things we need. I mean, of course, you have your biological needs, but then you have a need to want to belong to a tribe, and then a need to differentiate yourself within that. And that's where most people spend self-actualization on top. But people mainly spend, between those two all the time.
Can you put that up? Yes, that's great.
Great United Fire and Brimstone Baptist Methodist Episcopal Church.
I'll join that. Let's start a cult.
What's that one
it's
song?
lovely
The
to
day
know-
the squirrel went berserk in the first
Self-righteous church.
church
I
of
love that.
Tuscagula or something like that.
By Ray Stevens. Oh my, if you guys have not ever heard that, it's called the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. If you've not heard it, YouTube it, watch the video. It is absolutely hilarious. It is the most ridiculous thing you're ever going to hear. Ray Stevens is the comic who like sings these crazy
Yeah,
songs.
these crazy.
And that is
yeah.
epic. Like
It is epic.
and he's like, you know, the some lady who gossiped, you know, it's like she started talking about her love life and then she stood up and started naming names.
Oh yeah, okay, Ray Stevens. Yeah.
I love him. I love him when I need a good laugh. Rebecca, how are you? Do you have anything to add to this chat? I know you were in a
Born
little
and
bit
raised in a cult.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm just going to finish
could-
making my cup of tea.
I guess I would say it's a doomsday cult. You know, the end of times are coming, and we're all going to die if you don't join this group and do all the things. And yes, your thing on your skirt is too short. Yeah, it was. If the blouse is too low, the skirt had to cover your knees.
Women never wear jeans.
Probably. Oh no, we could wear pants. Oh, no kidding. Jeans, but the whole thing was we were not supposed to
be immodest.
Well, not just be immodest, but we weren't supposed to tempt the men. And because it's your fault. It's you tempting the men.
Yeah,
not supposed to do that.
That's big in quite a few of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was how I grew up too, though. Like if a man looked at you in a sideways way, it was your fault because of how you dress.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is hard to get over as a woman, you know? I mean, like it's a really difficult thing. Yay, Stasia has service again. Did you get anything positive from it, Rebecca?
The only thing I think I can say positive is we did have to give kind of like presentations. And so I was able in high school starting and then college to do a speech in class, and I didn't shake. I was still nervous, but I didn't shake.
Sure. Okay.
I
still talk too fast though.
Yeah,
when I'm nervous.
That's actually kind of close to the cult I was in for a short time. They were real big into prepping. Yeah, doomsday, the whole 9 yards, fairly militaristic. And it got kind of, it's like, yeah, you guys are a little too much for me.
Use Jezebel.
I've got a funny story about that. Do you want to hear a funny little side story? A funny little Christy story?
Of course.
I was at church camp. Okay, so I was probably 14, I would say, 14 years old. And my brother is 3 years younger than me. And then my cousin, Casey, he was there too. And this was a Baptist church camp. So everybody was separate, guys on one side, girls on the other side. My grandpa was the one of the chaperone sponsors of the thing. He was in charge of everybody. And my grandpa was the head deacon of the Baptist church. So this was a Baptist church camp. All right. So we were walking to the night service, the nighttime preaching service. And there was this one kid who in the Baptist group, it's called sister churches. So it was like a bunch of churches that were in the same area that all believed the same thing. And we'd get together and go to youth rallies and revivals and things like that. So he was a member of a sister church. Well, he was really tall and he was picking on my brother and my cousin. And I was like, oh, hell no, this is not happening. So I walked up to him and I mean, little me, I was, well, that's as tall as I am now. I don't think I grew much after 14. So, I'm not even 5 foot tall and he's 6 foot tall. So I'm like, hey, come here, and he leans he's such a dumb. So he leaned his head down and I slapped him really hard, like right across the face. I mean, I just jumped up and I was like, you do not pick on my brother and my cousin. I don't care who you think you are. I will kick your butt all the way across this place. You do not do that.
Turkey leg moment.
Oh, he looks at me. His face instantly swells up, and he's like, "I'm gonna tell my dad." And I'm like, "Go ahead, go run, go tell your dad, go cry to your daddy." Well, so he goes and cries to his dad, whose dad goes to my grandpa, and my grandpa came up to me, and everybody around me was freaking out, and they're like, "You're gonna be in so much trouble." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm the favorite grandchild. I am not in trouble. Like, there is no way I'm in trouble for this." And everybody's freaking out because you're not supposed to fight at church camp, right? That's like rule number 1, no fighting. So my grandpa comes up to me and he goes, "Did you hit Andy?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I did, right across the face." And he goes, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because he was picking on Russell and Casey James, and I'm not going to let him pick on my family." And I'm like, "So if I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble." And he just looked at me and he goes, "Don't do it again." So the next morning when we got up and we went to Sunday school, Andy's dad did a whole like Sunday school lesson on Jezebel and how women were Jezebels, and you know, true Jezebels would like slap the men around, and it was directed at me, and he looked at me the whole time, and my grandpa was just sitting there, like, and you could tell he nothing else was said. But then so we all leave, and of course something has to be said, right? Because I mean, Andy had my handprint on the side of his face for like 2 days. I mean, I slapped him. So, you know, my mom and dad are there to pick me up, and they're like, "How'd it go?" And my grandpa's like, "Well, Christy slapped Andy." And my dad just kind of looked and he goes, "Well, did you handle it?" And, you know, because that was his dad. And my grandpa goes, "Yeah, it's good." And apparently my grandpa went home. And my granny told me this later. My grandpa went home and granny goes, "Well, how was church camp?" And grandpa goes, "Christy beat up Andy and he had her handprint on his face for 2 days, and I've never been so proud." I was like, "Oh, there we go." So I don't condone violence, but there's a funny little Jezebel story of, you know, why.
Sounds pretty good to me. How about you?
Oh man,
It's us Christies.
Yes, I knew I wasn't going to get in trouble for it.
Are you talking about, Anik, are you talking about like the full length girdle, like to where it's almost like a chastity belt level girdle? Is that what you're talking about? A girdle is like mostly they are little shorts that are really tight that come way up, and keep your tummy in and your thighs from, you know, it just keeps it. It was the, you know, precursor to Spanx.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And you could, depending on the kind that you got, you could hook your pantyhose to them.
Yeah.
But they weren't comfortable.
So it was like undergarments. Yeah.
Okay, so these days are the things that you wear and you can hook up your, all right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have sexy ones now, but that's not.
Yeah. Well, see, now I know. Now I get what they are. Not that I have them or ever own them. Just but I know what they are.
But it was covering your legs.
Yep. All righty.
Wow.
Well, they come up on Wish, you know. Lots of things come up on Wish.
So Ben, how long were you in your prepper cult?
Moi?
Yeah.
How was I? What?
How long were you in?
Were you in your cult?
What? Probably about 8 years. Yeah, I was in there shortly after high school. Yeah, you get that age where you want to hang out with cute chicks and all that. And you got to come here. And yeah.
That's how they get the boys.
And then there was always weird, you know, it's one of those things that was always kind of weird, but it wasn't until you get to the more adult level that's like Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things, and there's a lot of good things with all these. Like
Yeah.
tribe, like again, tribe, something we all need, belonging and all that. But yeah, it gets to a point where you're kind of constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's like, okay, I can
Yeah.
see the gun thing. I can
Yeah.
see the prepping thing. I
Yeah.
can see this. I can see the authoritarian control system. I can see, and you're just waiting for them to say, okay, let's go drink the Kool-Aid. And it never came. I mean, I know somebody who's quasi in it still, and I think it fizzled out due to not people leaving, which is probably the best result you could hope for.
Yeah.
I think when it starts to get really big is when these people start turning into, these people start getting a little full of themselves, and that's where they take it really. Yeah, I think there's a point where they're meaning to do well, and they think they have something special, and and next thing you know, you're doing something weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
But they never start out telling you all the really weird stuff.
yeah.
No.
Just like abusive
Yeah.
relationships, they don't start
Yeah.
off abusive.
Yeah.
You don't join a cult knowing it's a cult.
Well,
That's
yeah,
right.
there's a lot of pressure on them too to try to come up with something new that nobody's thought of. I mean, all of them do it, but it's just to what extent.
They all kind of have the same MO though in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
With all of you, how is your recovery coming out of it? Like, are you kind of worked through some of it, or is there still a lot of stuff? Like, what is kind of triggering for you? Just so that everybody knows, so that maybe, we're mindful of what we say so we don't, go sideways. Like, how is the recovery part of it coming for you guys?
I think I'm pretty lucky because I wasn't in it long enough, and I was aware of cults for so long that I was like, when I woke up to the fact that I was in it, I was like, oh my God, I'm in a cult. It's like, there's a man going, I'm in a cult. I'm in a cult. That's basically what I was like. I was like, oh my God, I'm in a cult. And that's what I was like. I'm like, I'm in a cult. That's basically what I was like. And then I was like, how do I get out of this? Because I had brought my daughter into it as well. And I was like 40 or something.
Mhm.
So, it was not like, and I was in it for like, I don't know, 2 years. And mine was basically from desperation and sadness and, trauma. And I guess the same reason that a lot of people get in. And that's how basically the Hillsong version gets you. That's how they get a lot of, especially young people, trauma and all that sort of stuff. And the music.
You were in Hillsong?
Yeah. Well, an offshoot. Hillsong kind of broke away from the AOC, which is Australian something of churches or whatever. But mine was kind of like Hillsong related. But oh my God, people worry about the QAnon. They got to worry about the Pentecostals, man. But yeah, but yeah. Well, they're crazy. But but I think I was pretty lucky, in that I was only in it for a very short amount of time. But I lost my mother and my stepmother because of it, and she was in my life for 42 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
you probably would still have a relationship with her if you'd never gone in, huh?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. Because she always said, like, it's to backslide is worse than, like, what is it? To have never been Christian is worse than to be Christian. But I was like, but I was Christian. Did you forget that I was Christian before? Like, I was raised as Anglican or Church of England. Did you forget about that? Oh no, that's right, because there's only one true religion, and that's Pentecostal. But she forgets that she was raised as Catholic. So
yeah, there was a lot of that, pointing the fingers at the, non-holy rollers.
Yeah.
We never called them that, but call ourselves that, but Yeah, that
Yeah.
was just lame, basically.
Well,
Yeah.
I've always sort of thought, if you're an Abrahamic, like Abraham, ones who believe in Abraham come from Abraham, which is Jewish, Catholic, all the, even the, all of them, anyone the Muslims, I
Yeah.
get all the names wrong. So, but they all believe in the same God, basically. Why can't they all just get along?
Right?
You
I
don't
don't.
eat
Yeah,
pig. You don't
I
eat
don't
pig.
know
Let's
what
not
that
eat pig
is.
together.
Yeah.
So that's like
Yeah.
it's a Tim Minchin song. Like let's just all get along. You all believe in the same
I
God.
think
We
it
just,
just kind of
just
feeds
have
into
different
that thing that,
versions.
there's something in all of us that wants to feel like that we're in
Different
with
tribes.
the something special that's
Yeah.
the ones,
Yeah, and
Feed
that,
back to the
it really
tribalism.
does feed into that, I
What Ben
think.
was.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they a lot of them start out where they're we're better than, or we're, I don't know, whatever term you want to use, and then they start becoming adversarial. Where before he's like, well, we're the super whatever you're comparing yours. Then it's like, no, we're better than they are, and they are bad because they don't
Yeah.
belong to us. And then it starts really getting nasty. But yeah, it was
Well,
just
it
a
goes.
prepper
Well,
cult.
this all goes back to the cult thing. There's so many cults. This is one. They're all offshoots of the same thing. They all tie back to the same thing. It's all about the one person in the end having the control. Scientology. It was all about what is this?
Elron.
Elron.
Yeah.
Sorry. Aaron's really, he's stuck in my head now. But Elron wanted. It started off about money, and he was a nut job freaking sci-fi writer, the worst sci-fi. He might have been the most prolific, but he was the worst. But if you ever read one, they're really, really, really bad. I've never come across anyone who was worse, and I've read a lot of sci-fi because that was my genre. It was bad.
Yeah.
And I knew it was bad when I was like 13. I was like, really, people read this? But it's just like they all stand back to the same thing. One person wants control over so many.
Yeah.
What sort of control?
And
Money?
there are all the people that want to sidle up to the one in control. And I was just thinking about this today. The meanest people in the church were the ones that were the highest up. The absolute meanest. Mean. Just mean.
Yeah, and it's not generally the one at the top. It's the ones who want to get to the top, or ones who want to be close to the top. They want to touch the cloth of the ones, or they want to control the ones who want to touch the cloth of the ones, which is so strange. I mean, don't you want to help those? If things are so great to get, this is one of the things I don't understand. If it's great for the ones at the top, don't you want to help those get to the top? Isn't that the meaning of help? To get everyone to be at the same place. It's not all about. Sometimes it's not even about equality. It's about equity. It's about helping those who don't have the same as and that's what some of the things. It's not about equality. It's about equity, because there's some people who don't have the same as me. To get to the top, so I need to help those who don't have the same abilities as I do. So, that's when we put out a hand to help those who don't have the same ability, and that's where equity comes in place, and that's when there's true equality. It's when I help those who don't have what I have to get to the top, and that's when we've got the equality thing wrong. It's not about equality; it's about equity, and that's where things have gone wrong, and that's where people have got the whole, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter as much, but they haven't had the same, and that's where they cut off the most important. Black Lives Matter too, where they haven't mattered as much before. And they matter as much as everybody as well, whereas before they didn't matter, but they got lost in the whole thing. The whole argument.
Coming
I
out of
was
my,
going to say,
oh, go ahead.
for me, it wasn't as bad of a recovery process because I went in fully adult. I was in my 30s. And like you were pointing out, Rebecca, being born in is harder.
It
what you
is
know.
because you're taught.
Yeah, I can
mean,
imagine.
I wasn't in I wouldn't say it was a cult, but you know, but being born into the religion that I was born into, it really has had some real effects on how I see myself, how I see certain things, how I approach life. And it's really been, I've had to really untangle all of that and kind of rewire my brain, really, because I was born on a Thursday and in church on Sunday. And then I was there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday youth rallies, church camps, everything. And I wanted to ask you, Rebecca, how's
Yeah.
your recovery coming? Now, how long have you been out, and how is it coming for you?
It's a process. I technically left going all the time regularly when I was 17, almost 18. But I'm 52 now, and there's still pieces of the onion that were not, like, I probably spent a decade out of it when I was in college, etc., where I was an apologist, where I'm like, yeah, they're great. They do all these wonderful things without looking at and questioning anything. Didn't do any research because part of it is you don't look them up. You don't ever
You're
look
apologizing for them?
Yeah. Like,
well, it's apologetics is a type of, basically justifying what they're doing.
yes.
Okay.
So you're not in, but you're justifying and still kind of in some way mentally supporting them.
Yeah.
So I was that for at least a decade.
And so kind of like that guy that Aaron has on who debates him all the time, who debates him.
Yeah. A lot like that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I feel like he's kind of like an apologist for Scientology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So you spent the 10 years once you got out, basically still believing. When did that start to crumble?
I didn't feel accepted because I had, and this would have been in the latter years of college, so it was right before I graduated. I had gone to one of the big group meetings, and there's the whole you don't associate with people outside. And because I wasn't a regular person going to their meetings, I was outside. And it was interesting having the people not choosing to talk to you. Not like people were rude to me, but there was no one to talk to.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the wake-up call that started it.
Okay.
And then I looked at I saw something about child SA, and then I did research. And that's when it really started, because there's I could justify a lot of things in my head, but when you start doing stuff to kids and hurting kids, that's where it kind of drew the line. Like, I can't. And once I opened the door, that opened the door for researching them. And then once I opened the door, I found out a whole lot more.
So has your belief, because I know Carol's belief system, you're kind of untangling and figuring out what you really believe. Do you, and I completely just demolished everything that I believe. And now what I believe is nowhere near what I was. So are you doing that too? Are you unraveling, like, do I really believe this, or do I believe this because I was born and raised and taught this? Or are you kind of like, no, I think I'm pretty good on this. I just don't want to be,
I look at it as they're a destructive cult and they abuse people. So I no longer think most of what they do is good. I think the bad is far outweighs any good that you could potentially get from it. Yeah. And I would fall under now more agnostic. So I don't necessarily know if there's a God or not. But I tend to think that if there was a God, he's like, you've had a good enough life. You're a good person. You're helping people. You can get in. So that's
Right.
kind of, I tend to
Well,
think.
that's where I think what things get murky. I don't blame people who don't do the things for the things that go wrong for what they believe, you know, like just because they believe in the God and they believe in whatever their church does, like doesn't mean they're bad people. Like just because you believed in what your church did doesn't mean you're bad.
No, there are a lot of very, very, very good people in the cult that I was in.
I agree.
Just
There's
because
lots of really good people, but the main organization, the people in charge are the ones abusing the power. There's a lot of really good people that I think are misguided. And this is what you know, this is what you've been told. I think in some ways it's harder in some ways coming out, I think it's harder for people who are adults, because coming out when I went to college.
Yeah.
And of course, most of the time women don't go to college because you don't educate women, but especially women, but you don't go on to a 4-year college. But I knew people, I met people, I had friends outside. If you're inside, a lot of times you end up cutting off everybody, not intentionally necessarily, because they're not.
But you're not allowed. You wouldn't be allowed to have those friends in your life if you were in.
Yeah, or you're reprimanded for, you know, potentially their bad behavior, that they're out, you know, they're worldly or a slut or whatever it happens to be. They drink too much, you know, it could be any number of things. So you kind of let them go. So the people that are in, especially if you're an adult, you come out of it potentially without knowing anyone on the outside. And I think that to me is really hard for people, I would think.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I was fortunate that I had a base to come back to when I came back here. I had people that I knew.
A lot of people don't. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't have that, it can be really scary. I mean, let's see, from 2001 to 2009 is 8 years. Yeah. You know, so for 8 years, I'm afraid to come out of the cult. So, and I have a base. I have a support system outside of it.
Yeah.
Nobody else but me and my family or my friends joined this cult. Nobody. Just me. You know.
And I think it can, well, and sometimes if you're born in, you could be second or third generation. And then you don't have family outside, or
or you don't know about the family that you don't know about who aren't part of.
That's true. Yeah.
So there's,
because you haven't met them.
Some of it is unraveling some of that. Like I don't have, and I gather this is fairly common for people that grew up in the same group that I did. I have certain things that are kind of known traits for me. Things like I could be told, and this is what the guy said. He said, I could be told one evening, like at the end of the workday, that I was the best employee they had, the greatest thing. They're so glad I have me. You're a wonderful employee. We're great. The next morning, wonder if you're doing your job well enough. So there's that certain portion of whether you are good enough.
Yes. Yeah, just keeping you just enough off balance.
That there's always
not so much that you just fully, you know, go, oh, this is wrong.
Yeah.
But there's
odd how methodical it is and how it's just.
I like what Huckleberry says here. We used to be told outsiders would derail our spiritual relationship with God because they had devil spirits. Cue the creepy music. That's interesting because, you know, I mean, and again, I wasn't in a cult. I was just in a very strict religion, but I was not in a cult. But I was told the same thing, you know, like I really wasn't, you know, we called it the Baptist bubble. And that's no insult to anybody that's Baptist at all. That's just what it was called in the church. And I wish I had extra stuff like water and beans.
Well, we were told that the devil could come into your home in buying something secondhand, for example. So I was always, when I was much younger, I was always afraid I was about to die. and I was it
Wow.
would be apocalyptic death. And I always was afraid that if I bought something secondhand, would the devil come in and end up in my space? And and then how do I get them out? And
Yeah.
there's all sorts of things that you kind of, it takes a while. It takes a long while, I think, to kind of work through those,
Yeah.
because I don't think that now, but at least a decade potentially of really, like, I was scared a lot, especially when I first came out, because you're scared of the world. The world is a horrible place.
Yeah.
There's nobody
Well, you're
good.
told it is all the time. Everybody's
Right. Yeah.
dangerous because they're the others.
Yep.
They're all dangerous, and they're all gonna, that you can't trust anybody because they're not part of the group.
Yep.
Right.
And exactly what Huckleberry said. They're not, they will. I was told the scripture, bad associations spoil useful habits. So you don't hang out with people. So I wasn't allowed friends in school. So for me, it was extremely isolating because I had no friends. There was no one my age.
Wait, you weren't allowed friends in school?
No.
Wow.
Like, how did that work? Like, did your mom make sure you didn't talk to people? Like, what did you say to somebody? Like, I can't talk to you because
you go to school and you can talk to people, but you're supposed to be witnessing to those people. But you could see them in school, but when you leave school, you can't call them. You can't hang out with them. You cannot see them any other time. And that's why I remember going in on the first day of school and knowing the friends I had the first day would differ potentially from the previous year. And those would be my friends for the rest of the year. So the first day of school, I had so much weight attached, because whoever would talk to me at that time would be potentially who I'd talk to in school, because I couldn't talk to anybody outside of school. And there was, in the group, there wasn't anybody my age. I mean, there were some people older and there were some people younger, but there wasn't people my age. So that's part of the alone. I always felt alone because I never felt like, and I still don't necessarily know how to maintain friendships, because there's a certain portion I don't think about the stuff that other people in normal society think about. And people do Valentine's, or they put all these big things on Valentine's or Christmas, or the things that we never did. So I don't have the history with stuff that other people had.
Did your class have the thing where everybody made everybody a Valentine?
Yes, and I got in trouble. I got in trouble
because there were certain kids that we were told you can't do a Valentine to them.
Yes.
So that's kind
of. I would have been
that's
one of those kids.
That's growing up. That's how it was. You would get, or if they didn't celebrate, they just did not come to school that day, and it was excused because they didn't.
Or for me, I went to the library. So there was multiple times I was sent to the library. I mean, I was a pretty good kid, so it wasn't like the librarians had a problem with me being there, but I would be either sent outside and I'd hang out in the hall, or I'd be sent to the library. And I got in trouble with the Valentine's thing when I was much younger because I wanted to. And it turned out one of the people that was in my class at school, because it was a small school, less than 60 kids in my class, her mom was studying with somebody in the group that I was in. And so she told her mom about it. And then I got in trouble because it came back to me. Why did she do that? And so I was always in trouble.
Oh, man.
And I thought at that time, things just never felt right. That was the other part. It never really felt right, but I didn't know what it wasn't right about it. And you don't have any other options. So as a kid, I didn't know anything else. I'm really glad I moved. I mean, that's why I say when I moved in with my dad, who was an abusive, horrible person who in essence told me at 18, go get a job. I'm not paying for you, and meant it. I'm still being in high school. That was better. That was better than what I had been in. I worked, and my dad yelled at me for everything I ate if it was something he purchased. So it was still better.
Wow.
All of it was still better than what I had. because
Now,
I never
how does that
ever.
make you feel? Like, how does that make you feel knowing that an abusive father in that kind of situation was better than the situation you were born into? Like, how do you reconcile that in yourself? Because that would be very difficult for me. I can imagine that's a difficult thing. Like, are you still working through that? Or have you kind of like gotten to a point where you're like, well, it is what it is, or however you see it? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah,
how
there's a certain portion that some days are better and some days it's, it is what it is. And I can think of it as, what can I take from what I have to bring to other people so that, maybe other people, I can understand people in a way I couldn't have before and kind of look at it that way. Like maybe there's some good in there, but there's also a whole portion of me that resents and hates my mother. I mean, let be blunt. I've been journaling this. I hate my mother. There's still a lot, and I didn't realize quite how much of that was there. What she put me through, and what that group put me through, and my sister and brother were in it. I mean, if they ever saw this, God only knows what I would hear. So it is in some ways I feel kind of brave being on here even because I'm saying it where other people could watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I would potentially everything would go away. There would be some severe consequences. But there's a portion, I'm 52 now. How long do I want to live in fear?
Yeah.
Right.
How long do I want to live my life, in essence, trying to please someone who's never going to be happy?
Never going to be happy. Yeah.
And how do you, I'm sorry.
It's
Actually, I'm
fine.
not sorry. I can cry.
Yes, you can.
It's a struggle. And
Yeah.
some days are really, really hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. Some days there's no way to express how alone I feel.
It might even be different if you didn't have family still in, because you could actually really put it behind you, but it's still that thing that's kind of there still.
Because as much as I hate what my mother did to me, I know it wasn't done intentionally. And I know that, but I'm not ready. And this is the part I still struggle with. I'm still not ready to lose my mother and my siblings. I have a brother who doesn't talk to me unless he has to. The last time I saw him was at a funeral. And the previous time before that, I think, was another funeral.
We still talk
He called me the black sheep of the family. So I actually want to make a quilt that's got that's sheep and have the black sheep one on there. That is a goal.
Now,
Just
do you
Our family black sheep's Ruby Deeps. Ruby Deeps.
Do
Oh yeah.
do you
when
talk to your mom?
yeah. I just finished making a quilt for her.
Okay.
But because I promised it to her and I don't, it's a struggle because how do you just reconcile I love my mother, but I hate my mother. And I can't tell her what I hate her for because she doesn't get it. And she's in her upper 70s. She's never going to do anything other than this. And I don't think she would know what to do if she left. She has no friends outside of the group. She has no support network outside of the group. And she was a stay-at-home wife for a while, and then we were on welfare. I mean, she makes a little over $700 in Social Security a month. So she's poverty level. She still works part-time. I mean, so her and my sister, I just kind of think that they have a little bit of support with the group and that they will stay in that. My sister does less of the preaching to me portion of it. And I did see her this week. I tailored a dress for her. But yeah, I never see my brother. I rarely see my mom, and I usually only see my sister when they come into the city. So that's rare too. But yeah, the connections you make, like I think as a normal human being, like in school and you grow up within your family, and I don't have those. And I think in some ways that's the hardest part because I can still have connections with people, but it's just not the same. And the meaning is different. What other people feel and understand, I don't get.
Right.
So
Now, are you working on this with your therapist and journaling about it, or is this just kind of?
yeah, I go in stretches where
Mhm.
I'll be working on it and then I need to take a break from working on stuff because it gets really, really hard.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm starting to kind of get back, like I'm starting to journal about stuff like this because I didn't all the time the last year and a half for COVID. I just couldn't. And I'm still trying to get the health under control.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to focus on, I need to get healthy. And, but yeah, it's,
Speaking of
it's a
getting
struggle.
getting health under control, how is your medicine doing? Are you doing good with your meds? I know you started some new meds.
I could kind of tell a little bit early on that the dose had upped because there was a little bit better feeling, but I still am struggling a lot with SAD.
Oh,
That and it takes a couple of weeks. It's just I'm very isolated. And it's really hard to go out in public and to do stuff when I know full well I'm very immunocompromised, that I can catch anything that's going around. I found out when my sister was here yesterday that she had COVID and went into work before the 5 days. And I'm just kind of like, and how many people at her work, how many people don't take it seriously because they aren't having any problems? And I get it. They don't have a concept of what it was like. I just know how horrible it can be.
right.
So I can't go out and do a lot of stuff, or I mask. I wear an N95 whenever I go out.
So there's a lot of fear-based coming from where you're at right now.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, Huckleberry. I'm going through this with my mom. I lost my on her and told her that I wish, Huckleberry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage and bravery
Yeah.
to say. It
Yeah.
it hurts my heart that is where your head is, but I'm so proud of you for saying that because I can only imagine how that feels to say that. And I like Carol's question. Did it feel a little freeing to say how you truly felt? How did that make you feel?
And he says, no, Carol, it just made me feel guilty and the more angry for that. Okay. That makes sense. I wondered if that would have been one of the outcomes. I mean, in the moment, it probably was a little bit cathartic, I hope.
I can say that my kid has said the same thing to me because she in the moment she feels it. She feels that, if only she didn't exist in the time. But as I tell her, and, she feels it in the moment. But,
Debbie, I told my mom 7 years ago we would never have a relationship until she gets therapy. She never did.
I'm sorry, Debbie.
I mean, those are difficult. It seems like there's a lot of difficulty with relationships with moms.
Well, I think with parents in general, parenting is hard, and parents, being a child is hard. Yeah. Well, I am baffled because I'm baffled by that myself, because parents who don't, how can you not mean abuse? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I just accidentally punched you in the face, or I just accidentally break your arm, or I just accidentally hurt you. It was just an accident. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. You didn't mean it.
You did mean it. You can't. It doesn't get any more "I mean it" than a fist to the face. I'm sorry.
Or a slap, or a mean word.
Or the words. Yeah, then that's what I say. Like when people get upset by the things I say. Well, I'm like, well, don't do the things that make me say the things that make me say them. Like, because I mean everything I say. Like,
Yeah.
Otherwise I wouldn't say it.
Right. Well, that's what I love about you. You just say it. It's a good
Yeah.
thing.
No, that's just yeah. Well, and that's what I don't say anything I don't mean.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. But I just, it's just I am baffled by people who go around saying things they don't mean. So
Yeah, something in you did mean it, or you wouldn't have said it or acted on it.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
just a lie. It's just an outright lie. They're lying to themselves first, more than likely.
And I just wanted to say to Rebecca, I'm really sorry that you're in the situation that you are. Like, it sounds really hard, and I think you're doing the best thing that you can. You're kind of doing a balancing act, and that's all you can do. There are people who you can't really change the situation that you're in because it's too hard. Like it's your mum's too old, I think, to change, and your sister. There's too much to lose. You've got too much to lose.
There's the only good thing I keep reminding myself, and I'm sorry, I have a grocery order, and I just realized that they are.
Oh my God, Huckleberry! Oh my God!
Yeah.
That's flat abuse.
Oh my God!
Are you, Huckleberry? Do you journal about this? Are you in therapy to help with this? Or are you just kind of processing it on your own? Like this is extreme. Like I just want to, are you okay? I mean, obviously, I know you're. Wow. I have so much respect for all of you that come on and just share these kind of things, because I can only imagine the courage that it takes to do that. Really, to
Unreal.
Well, I try to remind myself that in many ways, if something happens, they can't hurt me in the sense that they could before.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My shopper just sent me a note saying, "No, we should be leaving here in the next 10 minutes." I'm like, okay. So I need to go downstairs. What we were saying.
No, I was just saying about, there's nothing really, you're doing the best you can.
I remember, because I live on my own. I don't depend on my family, my mom, my sister, my brother, any of them for financial assistance. So the worst thing that they can do is cut me off and never talk to me again.
Yeah.
And while that isn't great, there's worse things. It would be harder. There are people who are teenagers and still in potentially high school or living at home and get kicked out of their homes and have nowhere to go.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of, it's not great, but could be a lot worse.
But, in perspective of you, it could be worse.
Yeah.
I guess. But,
could be better.
Could be better, exactly.
A lot better. Yeah.
You're allowed to be hurt.
Trauma and the damage that I'm realizing was done to me emotionally. It's the reason I've never married. It's part of the reason I never married, because if a part of me was raised with how men treated women, and I was afraid of getting into a relationship where the guy would have any control over me. Now I know it isn't that. It's, there's good men and there's men that are much more controlling and abusive. I can find a good one, but so I get that now. But when I was much younger, I was afraid.
Yeah, I guess it's anyone having control.
Yeah, because I didn't want anyone to have any control over me. I was afraid of it. Now I kind of, now I get that. Yeah, it's not that. It's you pick a good one, and there are good men out there. So
raised around not so great ones. It's easy to wonder, where are the good ones?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you're looking at when you're seeing that type.
Yeah.
You don't
other thing-
necessarily know how to recognize the good
Right.
ones.
Yeah.
No, the other thing
I have
was
a
gonna
really
say
funny
there-
story about demons too, by the way, that we can end on. But yeah, just before keep.
No, I was just going to say
but
the other thing that I think some people like me come out with is the feeling that you aren't lovable because your parents didn't.
Oh,
So if your parents can't love you and treat you with respect and do those things that you kind of expect a parent to do, even when they're older. I mean, it would have been different if she, had changed as got older.
Yeah,
There's a certain portion of that that's a struggle too.
sure.
I have to assume I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, born in, I think, is a lot of trauma.
you're incredibly
I was
lovable.
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're incredibly lovable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
That
Well,
is, and that's the thing. You have to keep telling me that because a part
All
of me
right,
doesn't believe
every
it.
day.
Yes, please. But that's part of.
You're one of my friends.
Oh,
Thank
help! They put you up, Buttercup.
See, and this is part of the journey I have to work on. Is that I need to be able to get this from myself and know it, but I don't.
Hmm.
And that's
It's
the
hard.
part. And I worry about my job. I could be the best employee. I could be doing my numbers, could all be great. I still worry about my job.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Makes you
Well,
human.
Yeah. And I mean, coming from a place of fear, I can understand, if you're kind of fear-based, which you are a little bit right now, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like we've all been there, in different ways. It's looked different. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's looked different for us, but we've all been in that place of fear, and it does make you very fearful of everything else that's going on in life. I mean, that's very understandable, and fear is difficult and it's hard to work through, and it takes a lot.
It does.
It's not, and some things I do believe,
It's such a gripping thing,
and I do believe that there are things that we spend our whole lives working through that we never kind of come to the end of. I mean, I know there are things in my life I can tell you what they are. Money is a big one. My reaction and trauma around money is ask Michael. He reminds me all the time, I'm not that person. Stop. But it's so in there that that's my reaction, even though I know it. I work on it, but it's still not great. It takes a lot. Well, we're at an hour 17.
Can I tell you my story first about
yes, yeah.
demons?
I have to go run
Okay,
and
so-
get my groceries, so I will go away. And if you're still here when I come back, I'll join. If not, don't worry.
This one's super quick, but you can watch it on replay. But yeah. Okay, so this is about demons. So this is when I was still going to church and we were moving up from wherever we were. So my daughter obviously has meltdowns, and my mother was going to the church and stuff, and my daughter couldn't explain where her meltdowns were coming from, and my mother was like, it must be demons. And my daughter was like, yeah, I'm hearing voices. It's a demon. Yeah, demon. And so she was like, it's a demon. Oh my God, there's a demon. His name's Sebastian. He's telling me I need to do these things. And then my mum hosed her down with water. And a few years later, I was like, so did you really hear a demon? She was like, no, but this is the only way I can get her off my back. I was like, oh, thank God for that. So anyway, that's a demon story.
Oh man. Huck, I would really love whenever you feel like it, you don't even have to be on camera, but I would love to kind of hear more about your story and see
Yeah,
how
I would too.
help you.
Hi, Mischief
So next time
Managed.
you want to come on, you don't have to show your face, or you can just type,
You
but
can. Yeah.
we would
Yeah.
love to. That
Yeah.
sounds like there's a lot going on. Mischief,
Yeah.
hello. Hey. So yeah, did you guys want to do some box breathing and a meditation, or what do you?
Awesome,
Have we
Huckleberry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have we
Yeah,
gone
that'd
too
be
far
great.
over for
Yeah.
your animals?
Yeah.
I just need to get out there before it gets dark. That's all. And I've got a
Okay.
30-minute window, so I'm pretty good.
No,
The sun's setting
Because
later and
I'm the
later now.
sicko.
Yeah. Well, we can definitely do a meditation, and like I said, heck, we would love for
I
you
would
to
love
come on
that.
and have a meeting, and
Yeah.
just, if nothing else, we'll just all listen to you, and you can just say everything you need to say and get it off your chest and put it out there, and and hello to everybody. So, yeah. So I'm good. Looks like seventh is good. Cosmic is good. So did we want to go ahead and? I'm not trying to rush. I just don't want Carol to be late getting out to the barn.
Looks like we've got some threes here. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I did. I was just I was typing away and it was not letting me it was telling me, oh, nope, you can't do that.
Send some pictures. I would love to see pictures of where you're at.
Yes. Yes, I can't wait.
Yes. So,
And good to
okay.
see you, Mischief Managed.
Yes. 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 And it's everything is growing. Oh, and we should say, because we don't say it a lot, please make sure to make sure you're subscribed, hit the
Like,
notification.
subscribe, and
all
Learn, hit that bell.
Yes, yes. Share if there's, share everybody where they can find us. And we only need 237 more subscribers to hit 500. And
Oh my God, really? Wow.
yeah, I mean, so we're doing good. We're doing good. So we don't say it a lot. I like to kind of remind everybody. And don't forget, when
Thank
you
you,
first
Christy.
click the like and leave a
I
comment
feel
after.
weird saying it, so thank you for saying it. It just feels weird.
Weird at all. I will I will be like, hey, like, subscribe, share, comment.
How one of those ticket things come up and be like,
I'll just hold up a little sign. I'll make a little sign. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll do a meditation. It's raining here outside. I kind of want to
Totally raining here too. Super raining.
I don't know. Can you see outside the rain, like what it looks like out the window?
Oh, it looks so pretty.
It is pretty.
Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. And so what we'll do is we'll do 3 box breaths. So we'll breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and then exhale, letting all of the air out of your lungs, and your shoulders drop. And we'll do that 3 times. If you have a personal mantra you like to say, or I'm loved, I'm worthy, whatever, go ahead and say it as you breathe in. Anything you want to release, any icky feelings, just let them out on that. Then we'll go into a guided meditation. And when we're done with that, I'll say whenever you're ready, open your eyes. And so, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and close your eyes. Loosen up your shoulders, kind of shake it out a little bit, roll those shoulders. Get good and loose. All right. And drop into your heart space, whether that's putting your hand on your heart or envisioning a little version of yourself going into your heart center, opening the door and just sitting there. We're going to go ahead and do 3 of our box breathings. So go ahead and breathe in. Hold. And exhale. Again, breathe in. Hold. And exhale. Last one, breathe in. Hold. And exhale. I want you to imagine that you are standing outside in the rain. your bare feet standing on the ground, and the rain is coming down, and you can hear thunder and lightning crashing around you, but you're safe in the rain. You feel the warm rain hitting you, and you outstretch your arms, and you turn your face up. And as the rain hits you, imagine that it's washing away all of the negative things that you're holding onto right now, whether it's fear, anger, insecurity, frustration, sadness. With each raindrop that hits your skin, imagine it just washing it away down into the ground. Feel it leaving your body, washing away, going down to puddles surrounding your feet. And as the lightning lights up the sky and the thunder crashes, let out a primal scream, releasing all of that into the air. So as the rain is washing all of the frustration away from your body, you are screaming it out into the ether, into the world, getting it out of your body. And we're going to do 3 screams. Scream 1. Scream 2. Scream 3. Feeling lighter, having all of the rain washed all of that off of you and out of your system. You know, open your eyes and you see us off in the distance, standing on a porch waving to you to come join us. And you run over to us, and there's a fire pit on the front porch. And we're all standing around wrapped in towels. We went up onto the front porch. And we smile at you and give you a nice big warm towel that you wrap around and stand around the fire. And we all stand there with the same knowing that we all just went through this beautiful cleanse of frustration and anger. And now we hear the rain gently tapping on the tin roof in a calming, soothing way. We all give each other this knowing look of, yeah, we were just there too. And as we stand around the fire, drying off and getting warm, take a moment to let the warmth of the fire and the deep warmth of the friendship soak in and warm you up, warm up your bones. Take a moment to just enjoy the warmth of the fire and the friendship and the love. Feeling oddly refreshed, lighter, more loved, and welcomed in friendship. When you're ready, open your eyes, and if you feel so inclined, end the meditation with the rounding huzzah. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes.
Huzzah.
I better not read comments because I laugh.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go because Michael has been baking chocolate chip cookies and making dinner. So, obviously he follows rules and he can bake cookies. So I'm going to get my chocolate chip cookies.
Nice.
Those, we know how that works. Guys, have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow.
Wow, you guys.
Wow. Well, just remember, you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? I don't know why it is, but I think of that song every time I see Carol. I don't know what caused it.
Night, Shell. Good afternoon. All right, well, I have to go
Interesting,
too.
Christy and I were echoing, but you guys weren't. I don't know where the echo is
Oh,
coming
you know
from.
what? It's because I'm a nice person that
Oh,
always behaves. Yeah,
okay.
you should learn from my example. Okay,
It's because I have no
fine.
soul.
Be that way.
I have no soul.
You guys take care and both have yourselves a nice day.
You
Oh, and
too.
hi one with cats. How do you exit? How do you work this? There we go, right there.
Good to
Where's
see
the
you.
button? All right, see you later.
Good to
Bye.
see you, Cosmic. Bye.
Peace.
Love ya.
Oh, wrong button.
Rebecca. Hi, a bean. I like that. Yeah, bean. See? Look, bean. Bean. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and log Rebecca out and then log myself out here. You guys, thanks for listening. This is a tricky, well, we always get into tricky topics, but you know, this one is near and dear to my heart. You know, the ultimate freedom really is actually mentally, and emotionally getting free from a cult or a cult-like relationship. And this is part of how we get there, talking about it. So thanks so much, and love you guys, and hope to see you again tomorrow. And until then, peace, y'all.